Good afternoon, global citizens. As many of you must know, that water and sanitation, which is Sustainable Development Goal 6, was a major focus of our campaign this year at Global Citizen India. And we have a very distinguished guest, Mrs. Madhu Krishna from the Gates Foundation, to talk to us about fecal sludge management and its importance in SDG 6. Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, could you tell us global citizens about what fecal sludge management is and why is it so important?
So when we look at sanitation, you have to view it across the value chain. If we stop at open defecation, we're not really addressing the public health impact that good sanitation gives us, because all of the waste that comes out of those toilets needs to be treated safely and reused. If we send it off untreated into the environment, then we are not doing any good by giving people access to safe sanitation. You're just barely shifting the waste from away from the toilets or away from open defecation into a toilet. You're not treating it, and then eventually it gets sent untreated into the environment, causing a huge amount of environmental and health pollution. Therefore, it's very important to focus on fecal sludge management. The other very important statistic to remember is that 70% of people who have safe sanitation use septic tanks, or what we call on-site sanitation systems. They require frequent desludging and then transportation, collections, all done safely, and then final treatment. So what we have today is that people have toilets, have some sort of rudimentary septic tank or holding container, and often they leave off the effluent back into the environment. So it's very, very important that there is a regular schedule of desludging. The septic tanks are built because they are the first line of treatment for this waste, and then they are collected, desludged, transported, and safely treated. That is what is called fecal sludge management. It is the entire sanitation value chain, starting from containment, which is what we understand as toilets, the extraction of the waste, collection, transportation, and then final treatment and reuse. And the reuse part is really important because the nutrients from this waste can be very valuable fertilizer. The treated water can be used, especially when we're facing such issues around climate change and water scarcity. So the sanitation value chain, once it's addressed properly, can not only safely treat the waste, but can actually give back resources into the environment, which is of prime importance.
Ma'am, just one more question. Could you highlight the importance of behavioral change when we talk about fecal sludge management? That's one. And when we talk about fecal sludge management, how important is it to talk about citizen engagement? And what can individual citizens do to contribute towards the fecal sludge management drive in India?
So many people think that fecal sludge management is an engineering solution, but actually it's communities who face the brunt of it, and actually the marginalized, the poor communities who face the brunt of untreated fecal matter. So when we are in our toilets, we can flush and we can forget. And most of us have either flush toilets that are connected to our sewer systems because we are fortunate enough to have that. But in many parts of the cities and in small towns, people don't have connections to sewer tanks. So they are often left to manage the fecal sludge on their own because cities don't have good systems. But without users paying for that pollution or that waste, we're also not going to solve this problem. So while the poor communities are facing it, we as citizens can engage with our governments to understand what's happening to the waste in my city. Am I connected to a sewer system? If I'm not, where is this waste going? Are you treating it safely? Who's collecting it? Who's transporting it? Are they regulated? Is there a good treatment plant or not? The minute we start raising this demand for safe treatment of fecal sludge, because if we don't, it's coming back to us in the untreated water, it's coming back to us in food crops because people will dump this fecal sludge into the agricultural feeds. We'll start eating, literally eating our own shit. So we have to be very, very careful about making sure that our governments, that we become strong advocates for fecal sludge management. That's the only reason that we are in this game, and that's when we'll have a truly clean India.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And on behalf of Global Citizen, we'd like to commit to you that we will try and mobilize citizens' voices to become strong advocates for fecal sludge management. Thank you so much for being a champion of this issue.
Yeah, I'd like everyone to please tweet, use the hashtag FSM Cleanup India, and also follow us on Facebook and Twitter on FSM for India.